The tremendous work that's being done by Sister Marsha and her husband, and how they have helped to break us out of this information circlement. Uhuru, Sister Marsha. It came in. What was Uhuru? Are we live? Uhuru. So once again, I'd like to welcome everybody to today's summation of this. I want to once again welcome everybody to this summation of this victorious day. We say, not one day, not one dime. Let's hear it. Not one day. Not one dime. When I say not one day, you say not one day. Not one day. When I say not one dime, you say not one dime. Not one day. Not one day. Not one dime. Not one dime. Not one day. Not one day. Not one dime. Not one dime. Uhuru. So we want to salute the victory of the Uhuru 3, who once again, like we said, told the truth. They won. The state lied. They lost. Yes. I am Matsamela Odom, International President of International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement. Proud organizational member of the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations, as well as the Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back Coalition. Of course, a mass organization underneath the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party formed in Chicago, Illinois in 1991. I want to welcome and thank everyone who came out today and have come out for over the weekend. I want to begin by thanking Charles Barron, New York City Councilman and State Assemblyman from New York, Charles Barron. I want to thank Willie Mukasa Ricks. I want to thank the importance of Scott Ritter, and Afia Unagaza, founding member of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee and the Atlanta Project. We got Sister Pam Africa here with us. Yeah. Professor Ward Church here, and Professor Natsu Saito. We got Paulette Doye of the Leonard. What'd you say? Sorry, Dotier of the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Coalition. We also have President Yeshide Ornmila, African National Women's Organization. I want to salute Lisa Davis, coming all the way from New Jersey. Vice Chair. Jennifer Sullivan of the Florida Green Party. I want to salute comrades Caleb Malvin and John McCarthy, the Center for Political Innovation. Belinda Parker Brown, Louisiana United International. We got Betty Davis, New Abolitionist. We got Mark Freeman, LA Hands Off Cuba Committee, as well as the International Association of Machinists. We got Paul Pumphrey, Friends of the Congo. What's our special guests, longtime guests that have come from California, such as David Reardon, Mark Anderson. Chairman led off with this important salute to also Marsha Coleman Adebayo. Want to salute Marsha Coleman Adebayo. Want to salute Reverend Adebayo, the Bethesda African Cemetery Coalition. We got Cam Howard from Chicago. So we just want to make this broad salute. At this time, before we move into the summation, if it's okay, Chairman, I want to bring up a special guest that we have. Can we send the sister up? Okay. What's your name again, sister? Mona Green.
Mona Hardin. My son is Ronald Hardin.
So we want to introduce Mona Hardin, mother of Ronald Green, assassinated by the state of Louisiana 2 years ago.
Going on 6 years.
Going on 6 years ago. May 10th, 2019. So Uhuru, I want to give you the floor.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm humbled to be here in everyone's presence. I'm just lifted. My son was killed May 10th, 2019, in Farmerville, Louisiana, by Louisiana State Troopers. I'm originally, when my son was murdered, I lived in Orlando. I still live in Orlando, and I've been traveling back and forth for over 5.5 years. These trials. And needless to say, what's going on in Louisiana is a deep-rooted network. I gotta call it like I've seen it as KKK. So deep in the threads of what orchestrates Louisiana politics. It took 3 years before we had 5 indictments, December of 2022. And within a matter of months, they've been dismantling it. It was in October of this year. We had 4 of those 5 indicted policemen, and it was all orchestrated through secret grand jury. We've not been privy to any of the information. Everything's been backdoor deals, and it was October of this year that the 4 of the 5 indicted police has been, and the one with the most serious of charges, Corey York, he was let go. The term was termination of the case, Corey York. And now we have one left by the name of Chris Hardin. And I'm expected, the trial on this one is February 25th of 2025. I'm expected for this one to be kicked to the curb, just like all the others. And I just thank you so much. Please look up my son's name. When you Google Ronald Green, you'll see the police, you'll see what they did to him. It's been there. We were told that Ronnie was killed from a car accident. We were told the initial phone call, it was narrated live, and it was almost 2 years before we saw the videos of Louisiana State Troopers tasing my son when he was still behind the steering wheel. And within a matter of minutes, they tased, beat him to death while he was handcuffed and they shackled. It's all over there, we Googled it. And regardless of what we have, no matter how much we fought it, we've been literally fighting the case. We've been fighting the state of Louisiana with our hands behind our back. Unless we have boots on the ground supporters, this is the only type of backbone we have. Those that stand with us. And we still have 5 indictments just kicked to the curb. It's such a deep network. The governor that exists back then, Governor John Dell urged to the governor that we have right now, Jeff Landry, it's wicked. It's wicked. With the new administration coming in, we just don't know what to expect in 2025, but we're ready. We're not stopping. And what can I say?
Join us.
There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. So be it. Because without the support of the boots on the ground, we don't have anyone. I don't care who you hire. I don't care what we have. We don't have nothing but, it's just like they say, it's on us for us. I never knew the meaning of that until we became an impacted family. The fight that we have, how awful, how evil, but it exists. It exists. And I've been in such a huge network of other impacted families, and all I can say is I can ramble on forever and not even continue. I can't even get to the end of the ugliness, the network of lies that exist in my son's case. And those, they were promoted, they were retired, they've been transferred, which we talk about top brass from State Trooper of Louisiana, state troopers, the lies, just erase cell phones. And no matter what we had, no matter how many we found guilty, there was still no one arrested. There was still no one held accountable. We don't know how it's going to end. It's pretty much telling us, though, from the way things have been for the past 5.5 years. But we're still reaching to the DOJ, continuously writing letters to the FBI investigators, Kristen Clark, Merrick Garland. I get no reply back. But I have got a paper trail. I keep fighting for my son and for other families. And this is just what we have to do. This is just what we have to do. It's such ugliness out there.
Haven't you been on like Rachel Maddow and some of those?
Rachel Maddow, and Anderson Cooper, Chris Lemon, Don Lemon, I'm sorry. Don Lemon show. I've been on Sunday Morning with Jane Pauley. Roland Martin show. I've been on all of them, all of them. The noise is up here, the highlights get up here, and the minute the cameras are turned off, it's silence. It's silence. No matter who we have, no matter those on, I mean, even when those highlighted, those celebrities, I thought, oh my God, you know, I've been on this show. Yes, Frederica Whitfield. I've been on all those shows. I've been on, oh my God, it's so many. And I'm thinking, well, surely this will connect the system, and it doesn't. It just doesn't. I mean, I can just go on and on and on. You know, the organizations out there, and it's ugly to say that there's so many who's continuously going paid for it. They dance to their music. So I just thank you so much. Please look at my son. It's me and my daughters. We've been challenged, we've been threatened. The intimidation is really ugly in Louisiana. We can't even get families, impacted families to stand with us as we're trying to get, in the midst of my son being murdered, there's been, and it's still ongoing, a pattern practice investigation into the death of Ronald Green. And I'm trying to get impacted families to stay in your cases, let them know what's happening in your household. And we'll tell your story for you. But they're so afraid. I'm still beating down doors. And these are families who've been impacted and lost loved ones by Louisiana State Troopers. TUPEP is notorious amongst all the others. So I just thank you so much. This is the ugliness, and we have to deal with it. We have to deal with it. I thank you so much.
That's why the importance of today's victory, as we said the other day, this is not the end, this is the beginning.
Right.
This is the beginning, right? Are we talking about the ability to speak for ourselves? We're talking about uplifting, defending, and forwarding a struggle that works for African people, for Ronald Green. This is what today's victory is about. I want to note that we're building the anti-colonial free speech movement is about a giving voice. It's about returning that sense of power to the people. And in that, I want to note that for everyone to mark their calendars for the tentatively scheduled January 18th conference to build the anti-colonial free speech movement organized by the Hands Off Bull Fight Back Coalition. So as we move in today's summation, so once again, you didn't give any contact information. How can they reach you?
Well, we have the Ronald Allen Green Foundation. My phone number is 321-503-4148.
Say that again?
321-503-4148. And I live in Orlando, Florida. My email is scss.poi@gmail.com.
Uhuru.
Yeah, she should join the Black is Back Coalition, Ms. Mona. We get your information.
Okay.
Yeah.
We want you to be a part of the Black is Back Coalition. Because you cannot be alone. Thank you so much.
Uhuru. And you're not alone, Uhuru. So, someone who has driving a Jeep Cherokee, Jeep Grand Cherokee, the rear hatch of your vehicle is open. So if there's anyone in here that's driving a Jeep Cherokee, Jeep Grand Cherokee, do you know what color?
That's not burgundy.
Burgundy?
So yeah, why red?
So now what I want to do, I want to pass it to the Uhuru Three, beginning with the Vice Chair of the Hands-Off Uhuru. Yes, Uhuru.
Just on this whole question around green, I think that it states something about the significance of this trial that we just gone through, the charges that were leveled against us, that had they been victorious on the foundational charge that we worked for Russia, the implications that African people complaining about our conditions in this country are not legitimate. They would argue that everything is wonderful in the United States for Africans and for other people. That was what much of this was all about. You have to understand this in the context of the United States engaged in a serious ideological struggle right now. We've seen this happen before in the United States with international forces, and historically Russia has been at the center of it because at the time when Russia was considered, like a revolutionary Marxist country, and that was influencing revolutionary struggle all around the world. The U.S. and the colonial countries were bent on showing that colonial capitalism was more viable than Soviet Russia communism, however they characterized that. In fact, this contest that they were involved in played a role in getting some legislation passed in this country, like the Civil Rights Bill and the Voting Rights Act. I'm not underplaying or understating the significance of the struggle that black people had, because we died in making these struggles. But the thing is that it was an embarrassment for the United States, because the Soviet Union was using what was happening with black people. Here's a country that's using high-powered water hoses on children who were just trying to vote, who actually bombed churches and killed our babies, who assassinated people, including people like Martin Luther King, who was just trying to use basic democratic stuff. And so this is what the United States is going up against in terms of the international arena, where there was a huge contest, and it's still going on, about what forces, what kind of system is going to be the one that that peoples around the world are connected to, where we see our futures are. And I think that's something really important to recognize. And this thing that they've just done to run is an example of a horrible criticism. That's why reparations thing is such a real problem for them. Because if we're talking about reparations, for what? For what? We're talking about a history of brutality, of genocide, of just grotesque oppression of African people, and that's why they would say the Russians initiated the reparations work that we were doing. Our criticism of the United States in terms of genocide and the United Nations Convention, because they would stop any criticism that's coming from our community. That's how they would neutralize it. And so I just think it's important that we do everything we can. We get all the information we can about what's happening to this sister's son. And we get it out to the world, and I agree that she should be really seriously quoted and brought into an organization, into the movement, because you can't do this stuff alone. And if we have been alone, you've been asking me if I smoke cigarettes, so you can what brand to send me, in prison. We can't do it alone. Thank you, Comrade President.
Once again, September 12th, today, December 16th, affirmation that these three people here work for Africa, for black people, and that's what they work for. So I really salute Chairman for your summation on that. Now what I'll do is I'll pass it to Vice Chair, well, Chairwoman Penny Hess of the African People's Solidarity Committee, who is also the Vice Chair of the Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back Coalition. And then we'll hear from Chairman Omali Shatella, Chair Jesse Neville, and then the lawyers in summation of today's victory.
Should I go up there? Maybe that would
Right there? No,
Okay.
it's fine.
All right, Uhuru, everybody. We are winning. We have won. And I want to say that the Uhuru 3 and this attack on the African Liberation Movement, the African People's Socialist Party, and Chairman Omali Shatella was able to win based on you, based on everyone who has stood with the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru 3 for the last 2.5 years. So I want to deeply, deeply salute all of the people here and who have participated in this movement for all this time. I want to salute my leadership, Chairman Omali Shatella, the fiercest fighter for the liberation of African people and for oppressed and colonized peoples around the world. Will never back down.
That's right.
Always stand with the principle that African people must be free, that indigenous people must have their land back, that Puerto Rican people must have Puerto Rico, that the Palestinian people must have Palestine, and that all oppressed and colonized people will be those who have the leading power on this planet. And I have had the honor of being a member and often the chair of the African People's Solidarity Committee, the organization led by Chairman Omali Shatella, Deputy Chair Zendaya Shatella, the African People's Socialist Party, for almost 50 years. I think it's about 48 years, formed in 1976. So I don't know if that's good math or not, but a long time ago. And I want to say that in all of this time, I have had the honor to be in many organizations, many groups and meetings just like this one, and to be able to see the leadership of Chairman Omali Shatella, and that always have seen, hardly ever, a meeting like this, an event where African people have not stood up and talked about the police murders of their children, the mass incarceration, colonial reality that African people face, and this huge gap between the conditions of white people and the conditions of African people. And this is what this case tried to do. Among other things, it tried to say that white people would be intimidated to stand under the leadership of the African Revolution, and we say, no way! We stand under the leadership of the African Revolution, and that it enables us to be here today, to be able to look at the true history of white people, a history that is violent, a history that participated in the enslavement of African people, who, from regular white working people, participated or even instigated the lynchings of African people. I have studied the history because Chairman Omali Shatella put out an understanding that this country and this system is built on the kidnapping of African human beings that created the first wealth and first capital of capitalism, the capitalist system, that it's built on genocide. That's not a fluke, that's not something a long time ago. this is the essence, this is the DNA of the system that we live in. And that is not racism, that is colonialism.
That's right.
And that African people here are fighting for their liberation, for political power, for the return of their stolen resources, just like any oppressed person, people, anywhere else on the planet. That's what Chairman Omali Shatella taught us, that was our job, to go into the white community and win that message. And to do more than that, to say that reparations to African people is the essence of what we do and what we talk about and what we actually raise the resources because of the stolen wealth that belongs to African people, not as a favor, not as something that we would want to do out of the goodness of our hearts, but because we understand that this wealth, this ability to live, the resources, everything needed for human beings to live has been stolen 600 years ago, 500 years ago, 100 years ago. Today it goes on, and that colonialism is the essence, and the chairman calls it the colonial mode of production. And that means that there is nothing in the system that is not made by, that colonialism doesn't create. There's nothing pristine. There's nothing like, oh, I can just go out and grow my own farm, because that farm belongs to the indigenous people. And how many bodies of indigenous people are under the ground right there, where you're going to be doing your little pristine life, and that white people can't do that. And we also know that many white people do want to take a stand, want to be on the right side of history, but how do you do that? How do you do that in a principled way? Because white people can't go, well, can't we all get along now? Because it doesn't really work like that.
That's right.
There is a price to pay, because everything that we have had has come at the expense
That's right.
of others, of Africans, of indigenous people, and oppressed people around the world. So there is a price to pay, but that price is a liberation for white people. It enables us to join the people on the planet Earth, to have, for the first time, a principled relationship, not as a colonizer to African people and oppressed people, but under their leadership and under their incredible power of creating a new world, which is exactly what Chairman Omali Shatella has always fought for, and why he was attacked by the US government, to create a world without the oppressors and the oppressed, without the theft, the rape, the pillage, the nastiness that Mrs. Green just talked about on this planet. We don't want that. We want a world where there can truly be peace, and not just by some accord that the US government writes or something for some minute. That is about the power of the people. So I just want to say that this is what I have learned from Chairman Omali Shatella. This is why I am here. And that we won a victory. I just want to say, the judge said that, well, I can't get them a fine because they'll just have fundraising to raise the money. Yes. And he said, okay, 300 hours of community service, which he said, you could do that on your heads. Okay. Yeah. No, this is what we do, as Jane was said. This is what we do, the 300 hours. How many thousands of hours of community service of work for the people? And so, they couldn't do what they wanted to do, and what this government has done historically to African people. The assassinations, we had the son of Fred Hampton here, maybe he's here right now. shot him point blank.
Yes.
He's good and dead now.
He's good and dead
And
now.
that we cannot, as white people, stand by and watch that. This still is everyday reality. We have to take a stand. We have to join this movement and do this work and see the power. I want to salute Deputy Chair Onisade. Many fronts, and I had the honor of working in Hands Off Uhuru Coalition under Chair Mawezi, who's the Secretary General of Hardin, who is just an amazing face of Hands Off Uhuru. But a really essential part of the fight back has been the work of the Office of the Deputy Chair, which has continued, if not intensified, the building of programs and projects so that there are now at least 53 different kinds of economic development programs. This is not about a demonstration. This is not about a protest, this movement. This is about building power in the hands of the African working class. There is nothing else like this in the world.
That's
So
right.
I just want to say that. You look around, nothing. And sometimes, you know, we can say, oh, I'm a socialist. But what does that mean if African people and colonized people don't have power over their lives? What does that mean? That means a continuation of colonialism as, you know, as we know it today. So this is a new day. This is a victory of African people. And African people have won. And Chairman O'Malley should tell them, mastermind this, let it. Chairman Mawezi, he's not here right this second, but we will have a Hands Off Uhuru webinar. We will thank everybody. We'll go back over everyone, all the specific stands that people took, all the different press conferences, tours, everywhere you spoke about this, Camp Howard Camp. I mean, this is, you know, this is a beautiful, beautiful movement. Ward and Natsu and all of the friends. I know, I mean, I don't want to say something either. There's so many people that did this in so many ways, in so many places, in California, in Southern California, San Diego, Los Angeles,
Australia,
New York, Australia, you know, Europe, and in Africa, and Johannesburg, and there's so many places in the world that, you know, that people took this stand under the leadership of the African working class. So we really will spend time from Hands Off Uhuru to go through and just thank all of you. The D12, you know, that incredible press conference in Brooklyn about 2 or 3 days after the raids in July 2022. Just the friends that we, you know, that are here. This is what a movement is supposed to be, where you actually feel love for your comrades.
Yes,
you know?
yes,
I know that a lot of people did a lot. There were people here, you know, in September that are here again, and that's not easy for people, you know, in this world that we live in, and just what that means, and that stand, and I can only say it is deeply, deeply saluted and appreciated and put forward as really being on the forward side of history. So I salute you on that, and I just want to say that it's not over, that this struggle has to continue, because first of all, they can attack the Uhuru movement again, and in a different way, or they can attack, you know, the next organization, and there has to be, you know, a fight back. The chairman has really talked about, like how did you say it, Chairman? An organization, maybe a Hands Off Uhuru, human rights, yes. Anti-colonial human rights organization. That's what has to be built. That is here able to take it on for anyone You know, we need to win this. And then solidarity, white solidarity has to be part of it. Because we need solidarity in Israel, and the US backed Israel. Think if there were white people there fighting, you know, against the settler colonial government backed by the US right now in support of the Palestinian people. We need solidarity, white solidarity in Canada, in Europe, all around the world, because colonialism is a worldwide system. We have to build this, and we have to go forward and set the terms that there can't be an organization anywhere that is based on self-interest and be in the name of socialism, but is in the self-interest for those who really have the power already. No, we are not going there. We represent the ability and the right of white people to stand in solidarity with African people and oppressed people, and as being part of a whole movement of African and oppressed peoples around the world fighting for the victory. So I just want to say this was a powerful 2.5 years, but that was only a little mark in time of all of the struggles and victories of the Uhuru movement and the African People's Socialist Party over the last 50 or 60 years, which has really changed the world and is in the process of changing the world. And that, you know, I just want to say that we have won. We are still fighting. This will be continue to go on until African people will be free, until the colonial mode of production is wiped off the face of the earth.
Uhuru. All right. Yeah, say something, man. Otherwise, you got to get in the car.
Right on. Unfortunately, my man said, Uhuru. Read them all, y'all.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't catch the flight. Unfortunately, I was here today. This is a historic day. Phenomenal. But Minister Dewey Peterson would say revolutionary is never satisfied, y'all. But again, this is a phenomenal move. They said, Sandinista said, the will of the people is greater than man's technology. I am charged up. This is a phenomenal day again. I'm glad I got here. Again, unfortunately, I got to leave out, but again, right on, phenomenal day.
Right on.
Let me say this. Someone said earlier, and good to see you. Duty bound.
That's right.
Oh, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When I was facing and held captive in those concentration camps,
Yes.
hey, we had General Martin tell it, can't see about us, can't see about me, can't see about the people, you got a resume.
Yeah.
Speaks for that, so again, we got to come see about this.
He didn't do it, but he should have. He didn't do it, but he should have.
I was living in Cook County jail one time, and they said all the people out there around the Cook County jail, they march around looking on free. They take me downstairs, and different officers, they said, what's going on out there? I look out the window, I said, like they saying free Fred. He said, man, hold on, you gotta say something. I said, hold on, I ain't no right to kill you. We can keep it going. And I'm clear as Minister Dewey Peterson said, if it was not for the support of the people, I would have came out of there in a pine box.
Yeah.
If not at all. And again, right on to the legal aspect and everything, but again, the people, y'all, right on.
That's it.
That's it, man. Right on. Brother, should have respect, man. Beat goes on.
All right. He didn't do it, but he should have. Free Fred, he didn't do it, but he should have. Yeah.
Uhuru. I think we have to be the MC now. Okay, oh.
Uhuru.
So now we'll hear from Chairman Jesse and then.
If you don't mind, Comrade Louise in London is on.
Oh,
I'd like to hear from this comrade. Comrade Louise Kinshasa, born in Congo, became exiled after the murder of Patrice Lumumba, has lived in France and England for a long period of time. And so, yeah, he's been a stalwart member of our movement and led much of the work that we do in Africa and in Europe. So, do we have him now? What do we have to do?
Waiting for that screen.
Slow roll.
Hello, Chairman. Can you hear me?
Luis de Kinshasa.
Can you hear me?
SG.
Yes, sir, Chairman. I just want to just join. You can hear me.
Can we do something about the light stroke?
Yes, sir. I'm not sure. Can you hear me?
No.
Yes, sir, Chairman. I just want to join everyone who is full of joy because the slogans on a Saturday, not a day in prison. That was a powerful slogan that we chanted outside the U.S. Embassy, and it did attract quite a lot of attention. People want to know it was all about. So I just want to first recognize your leadership and salute your leadership. It's just really, 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 really profound. You're giving meaning to so many things. One is just that the struggle against the U.S. ruling class and the U.S. ruling class can be taken on and be defeated, and the whole world can see that. And this is like a message of encouragement. I'm sure this is going to inspire everybody around the planet who's watching this, who's aware of this. You give a meaning to the class struggle. You're able to say the African working class must lead. So just this struggle, you see, you unite all the classes from the colonized and from the colonizers under the leadership of the African working class to show their support. So you lay out the terms. This is a really, really, really powerful because there is no other place on the planet where you can learn about what does it mean class struggle today under in the era of decline of U.S. imperialism. In fact, African internationalism is the theory of that, of the generalized crisis of a U.S. Imperialism or if imperialism decline. So very, very concrete example. So I'm full of joy. I'm getting texts there from Paris, from Manchester, saying we won. Even people I haven't heard from quite a long time. I didn't even know they were watching. I'm getting texts from them. And I want to salute Common Pioneers, Common JC, and all the people work so hard to make this victory possible. I know, as you've been saying all along, it's not over yet. We already going back to U.S. Embassy on the 17th, on the 18th, I think, or 17th of January. So we just waiting for what the instruction is going to be, what the slogan is going to be, so we can go back to U.S. Embassy. I think you giving this struggle is giving us a momentum because the U.S. should be under siege. I mean, the U.S. Embassy should be under siege everywhere, in Europe, in Africa, everywhere, and that's basically what we're going to do. So we're waiting for what the instruction will be, but we're going back to U.S. Embassy next month. So I don't want to say really a lot of things. I just happy. Like on a Saturday, I have to use some of the slogans. I will tell people this slogan Chairman brought it in London in 2000, like touch one, touch all, which is a slogan now you cannot miss. If there is a demonstration in England, even in France, I saw people who don't speak English in the event saying touch one, touch all. So that's impactful. The leadership has been, and I guess the consequences of this victory will be felt not just in the US, but around the world. So we're looking forward to move the struggle basically ahead. So we are winning. So that's just one more concrete example. So yes, he just I watched the press conference. It was awesome. So yeah, thank you, Chairman. Thank you, everyone. So yeah, I'll stop here, Chairman.
Uhuru. I hope that the room is not full of liberals. I do want to be disciplined and not make a really long kind of presentation. But I first of all speak with such tremendous humility and appreciation for you, for the work that we've done over this period of time, and for helping us to bring back a real movement in this country again. It's been decimated in the past. It hasn't existed for a long time. And when I say a movement now, I'm talking about a movement where Africans, where Mexicans, Palestinians, and other people can function in fighting in the interest of liberation, in the interest of peace, and developing another kind of social system, equality. No more ideological imperialism, no more Ku Klux communists who are telling us how we have to do and what we have to think. I'm reminded about a conference that happened in Stuttgart, Germany in 1907, about some of the most progressive white people in the world. These were members of the Communist International, as it was characterized. And they passed a resolution calling for socialist colonialism. And they argued very seriously about the notion that somehow you can not have colonialism under socialism, because where would Europe send? It's the population that was excess, except to the colonies, and that where would Europe get the resources it needs to function with all of the machinery and technology, et cetera, et cetera. These were arguments that were made at the Communist International. I forgot the number of people who, I think something like 900 people were formerly in the Congress, and something like maybe 9,000 or 10,000 in the rally that happened outside of the conference. So this was a popular position, and this is what we've been fighting against for a long time. And I'm not race baiting. I don't play race nationalism. I don't like it. Race is a colonial concept in the first damn place. And so that's not what I'm dealing with. But what I am dealing with is that we have to have some science, and that science is not something that is inherently in the brains of white people. The colonizer always defines himself as the smartest, brightest people on earth. That's the way that works. And a problem is that for many people is that the colonizer does not recognize the agency of the colonizer. In fact, it's inherent. The logic of a colonizer is that it's necessary for him or them to colonize us to bring us into civilization. It's necessary. It's we mentioned the other day, Rudyard Kipling, the white man's burden, that I really don't want to do this. I really don't want to go out and rape and steal all these resources, et cetera, but it's the white man's burden. And it stemmed from an actual relationship, practice, and development of what came to be known as Europe, which is a recent phenomenon, by the way, And so I just, wanted to say that. And we're creating a new world, a new kind of movement, where if you understand anything about modes of production, And I appreciate Karl Marx for playing a role in introducing this whole concept of modes of production. It is the process through which human beings engage socially in the production of life. And it shouldn't be a problem for most people who consider themselves Marxists and communists and socialists because they understood a capitalist mode of production. But what Marx did in getting to a capitalist mode of production, he talked about there has to be a genesis for capitalism. Where did it start? How did it get here in the first place? That's what he said. And he said things like capitalism came as a consequence of turning Africa into a warren for the commercial hunting of black skins. He said about the terrible war that was being made in the so-called East Indies, where India and most of these areas have been being looted. He talked about in turn the indigenous people in this land into the mines, bringing up gold and silver. This is the starting point of the whole thing. And so when you characterize that as Marx did, as the primitive accumulation of capital, what it does is put the history of everybody in the world at the disposal of the development of Europe and European people. I don't know if I was understood. You know, they place us in they place what we do at the disposal. And we have no agency of our own. We have no interest, nothing that we fight for. There's no motivating factor or force for our own development. It's the primitive accumulation of capital. And we say, no, you're looking at a mode of production that's here. And it's a colonial mode of production. Everything that Marx talked about in terms of turning Africa into a warren for the commercial hunting of black skins, and turning the indigenous people in this land, doing what was happening to the East Indies, that's colonialism. And so it was a colonial mode of production. The entire capitalist edifice rests upon a foundation of colonialism. And not recognizing that is something that has neutralized the agency of African people and Palestinian people and indigenous people. We've been knocked out of a process of conscious development of history for ourselves and end up having to create history for somebody else. And we don't play that. I just want to say that, and I've talked too long already, but I do want to say that a victory occurred on today. And it's not yet Uhuru, but it was a victory. Yes. Because an objective, as we said, of this charge against us was to criminalize black people, oppressed people, criticizing our relationship to the United States. Right. Not only black people, oppressed people, but people, white people who are colonizers who unite with black people in this criticism that we make of the United States. Right. And I'm reminded, this is what killed Schwerner and Goodman in 1964 in Mississippi. This is part of what this is what happened to Penny Hess and Jesse Neville in 2000 and what was it? 22. Yeah. So we are engaged in this struggle to destroy a mode of production. And this is something that's really important for us because I heard, like a lot of people talking, or some people, not a lot of people, about what we gotta, burn down and shoot up and all this kind of stuff. And it's not tied to what end. Right. For what? Nope. You understand? I mean, you're dealing with the biggest arsonists in the world. You know what I'm saying? So to what end? What is your strategy? Where are you going with this? This is the fundamental question that we are dealing with. Right. What is the outcome of what it is you're fighting for? How can you develop a strategy? Your whole strategy is based on burning something down? Revolution is not based on destroying. Yes. It's based on developing. Yes. And that's the movement that we have created, one to develop. Even in the process of our oppression and exploitation, creating a new world. And this is the thing that creates tremors in the social system. The development, this country is so accustomed to killing and shooting and bombing, you're right where they want you to be. In fact, I'm convinced that one of the reasons that they waited 9 months to indict us, one reason is they wanted us to run. They wanted us to run, to bounce. And if it bounced, they wouldn't have had to be dealing with this colonial question that they're dealing with now. But we will not sacrifice the struggles that our people have made just for democracy, just the democratic space to be able to advance our struggle. We're not going to give that up. You know, I love Huey P. Newton once said that the revolutionary voluntarily goes underground. You don't do that voluntarily. You take all the democratic space that's possible to take. And that's what we're doing. We want democracy. And the question is, that's what we're going to fight you on. We ain't going to fight you on African internationalism. We ain't going to fight you on communism. We're going to fight you on democracy. And can you handle that discussion? Can you deal with democracy? That's your problem, not mine. You wrote it in all of these glorious books and terms. You stand for democracy. That's it. So that's part of what it is that I think is really important for us to say. I also want to say that this obviously has nothing to do, you know, with the Russians, etc. What does burning the flag out here that they did broad daylight? They came in with a 50-foot red, black, and green flag out there. Guy pulls up in broad daylight, opens up his trunk, and he just happened to have a military-grade flamethrower in there, and in his trunk, and then, you know, torches that. That was on July 2nd. Right. We didn't necessarily connect it at that time, but that was something like 27 days before they attacked this place. Why would they do that? It was a dry run. Why would they do a dry run? Because in 1996, they attacked this building with 300 military, this building right here where we are, this room right here where we are, with 300 military, this building. And they used all the tear gas in the city of St. Petersburg on us in this building. And they sent helicopters and airplanes. And the Africans came out and brought a helicopter down by gunfire. So they ran a dry run. They did a dry run. That happened. By the way, you were here.
I was here.
Your baby Akile was born. When was she born? In relation?
She was born 2 days after.
2 days after. 2 days after that. Yeah. Akile was born 2 days after that. So the people brought the helicopter down, and not us. The people did that. So this is why they would do a dry run. They did that, and then some days later, they attacked this building, they attacked the other buildings, etc. And part of what they have learned to do is that they would criticize you and charge you with something that might be despicable, so that you cannot get support from the people. They did that to Sundiata Acoli. They said Sundiata was a rapist. That's so offensive for so many reasons. It's offensive. Here is the chief rapist in the damn world. When I look at my complexion, I'm looking at rape. You understand? And so, you know, but Sundiata was an extraordinary freedom fighter, and organized in these prisons throughout the South, and Alabama in particular. And he was the first organizer of the African National Prison Organization that we created, Sundiata, going every place, making this stuff happen. And they framed him up, and he died in prison. He died in prison partially because I said, Sundiata, you get a comment, you get a lawyer? He said, get a lawyer for what? You know, I didn't assume. You got to remember who you are, comment. I'm a Fundy. And, but anyway, and his wife, incredible wife and children. So I wanted to say that. I want to also say that one of the reasons that Penny Hess's baby sister is standing over there. Is because we're solving the problems of the revolution. What were the problems of the revolution? One fundamental problem that we had to fight by ourselves. Our movement, our struggle was isolated. When they killed Fred Hampton, you didn't see white people anywhere rising up and writing or anything like that. They killed him. And but shortly after that, it was it Kent State? Kent State, people thought it was going to be a revolution. The white students all over, burning stuff down, etc. But Fred, there's nothing. When they murdered Malcolm X, did you see any movement in the white community or anything like that? When they killed Martin Luther King, it was African people who forced them to have to put tanks around the White House, not white people. And what we want to do is end that isolation and break out of it, and then allow white people to become a part of the struggle to liberate human beings and not be stuck on that race nationalist kind of stuff. That's why Penny has his little sisters over there. That's why I ended up in Moscow. You didn't hear any complaints from the New York Times, Washington Post, of any of them about us dying alone when they did Fred, when they bombed our people. It is to me the most ridiculous thing. I'd go to Philadelphia. I'm asking, how in the hell can you have all these white people here? And they come they have organizational meetings dealing with different stuff, and nobody is talking about move. They dropped the bomb. They dropped C4. You know, how can that happen? How is it possible for somebody to fix their brains in such a fashion that they don't feel a responsibility to do that? That was something that was striking to us. We ain't gonna do that no more. I was in Ireland, the Irish Republican Socialist Party. This was a really important trip for me. It's the first time I've seen white people live in circumstances like black people in this country. It was a remarkable trip for me. I was greeted at the airport by a woman who had been shot in her bed at some time earlier. It's, serious scar here, a man with a serious limp because of how he had been wounded by the Brits and under British colonialism. I was also struck by the fact that bombings were happening on a regular basis. You were in Belfast at this time. The British troops didn't walk anywhere. They ran. They ran everywhere with their weapons. They had many forts set up all over Belfast. Everywhere you went, there was a little fort there. This is what Belfast looked like at the time. And they lived in housing projects with sewage percolating, through the lawns in the yard. This was like the black community. I go to this place and I see this man who I'm introduced to, who has suffered a skull fracture and has been impacted seriously by that because he was shot with the so-called rubber bullet. I used to think a rubber bullet was something like a Nerf ball. No, sir, buddy. So this is, I'm in Ireland, and I want to win support for our struggle. I want to win the Irish to unite with our demand for reparations and to unite with our struggle to get the United States Congress to ratify the United Nations Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of Genocide. It took 40 years for the United States to do that, by the way. And then when they did it with the caveat that the United States would have to accept any kind of criticism like that came. But that's why I was there. We're trying to solve the problems of the revolution. We don't want this struggle ever to be in isolation anymore. We want the world to know what's happening to African people. And so, that's just a little bit of the stuff. I just wanted to mention some of that stuff. That's what took me. I was in Frankfurt. Is Frankfurt the capital of Germany? Yes. I was in Frankfurt shortly after our reparations tribunal. I was when the Green Party was first installed in the parliament there. I was there. I was there to take the message of what was happening to black people and what our tribunal had just come up with. This stuff about the Russians. So anyway, just wanted to say it was our responsibility to set an example to stand up. It's not necessarily the most comfortable thing in the world to do, but you got to do it. You understand? Now, that's the response. We assume that responsibility. When we volunteered, we made a promise to the people who followed us that we would not be cowardly, slithering on our bellies, kissing the feet and the asses of our we would not be able to use us as that kind of example to demoralize our people. Our objective was to help the people to understand that if you fight, you win. And I think going beyond that, we have to take on this thing about the United States, the feds, the FBI, this 97% conviction rate. Such a high conviction rate is because when they come at you with tanks and flashbang grenades, and you know you got the power of the whole United States government coming against you, people pay plea deals if they did it or not. And in fact, they will threaten you and tell you if you don't take this deal, what you're going to do is get life in prison. This is the kind of thing to do. So we tell the people to fight. And it's important because the government cannot handle people who take them to trial. If everybody said we're going to trial, it would crash. They could not handle people going to trial. And we want to advise everybody, go to trial. Go to trial. You cannot do worse than that. And one of the things about going to trial is whether you lose or not, you put them, they're being put on trial. They're exposing themselves. And so they're locking up everybody and doing it in public now. They're not doing some secret deal that only you and they know about. So this is something that we think is important. And so I just wanted to say that, and I'm hoping that people did not bow to liberalism and let me talk my state. Thank you, and I want to just give a salute to everybody who's here, especially the deputy chair. That's an incredibly significant role. I used to love it. You know, every time the political report, I've done the political report, this is the 5-year plan that we're going to be working with. This is the 5-year plan, and then every time I go in the office, she's underlining every damn thing in there, and then she's translating that into actual, projects and programs that we're dealing with. So I just wanted to thank that. And Comrade Pennyhurst was the same way. The work that she's done to build the solidarity movement, and she is the one who helped to bring Comrade Jesse here. And we have in 140 cities or so. Yes. Got white people in 140 cities talking about reparations, genocide of black people, etc. This made it really complicated for them to continue to act like they think we are criminals, right? Uhuru, thank you for that. Oh, I'm sorry.
Uhuru. Hands off Uhuru. Hands off Uhuru. Not one day.
Not one day. Not one dime. Not one day, not one dime.
Not one dime. To be clear, the U.S. government today, the original plan by the U.S. government was to put Chairman Omali Shatella and the Uhuru 3 in prison for 15 years and impose a fine on each of the Uhuru 3 of $500,000. That was the original plan.
Yes.
The struggle led by you, Chairman, and the movement, the Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back, brought the U.S. government to the point of today. What they were asking for was 3 years in prison for the chairman and a $100,000 fine.
That's right.
And what happened? Not one day. Not one day.
I just want to say, they wanted reparations. This is interesting. Because they wanted us to pay reparations to them.
Exactly.
But then the judge said, if I fine you, you're just going to raise the money. The same people been paying reparations to you all along, they just going to pay the reparations, so we're not getting anything.
Yes, Uhuru, I just want to say again that it's a tremendous, indescribable honor to be here and to be a part of this. And I'm extremely honored, and I'm also extremely happy. And that is something that I don't think you would catch me saying a lot before I joined this movement. But it is so joyous to be under the leadership of the African Revolution and be a part of kicking the ass of the world. I know I'm happy because I saw the article in the Tampa Bay Times, and they had some pictures from the press conference in there, and I didn't know that our faces could stretch that wide in smiles in those pictures. It was a beautiful, historic moment, an incredible victory for African people, as both you, Chairman, and Chairwoman Penny said. And I also just wanted to say, here's a headline from St. Louis Public Radio. I want to read this in saluting to the Burning Spear media. This is the headline about this case. St. Louis activists avoid prison, comma, reenact Russia conspiracy trial in live stream. That's the news. I also just want to unite with what you just said, Chairman, about Chairwoman Penny Hess. And just reflect on the fact that the first human being that ever looked at me in the face and said the word Uhuru was Chairwoman Penny Hess in 2009. So I would not be here if not for you, Chairwoman Penny. Not just for being there on that day in Sarasota in 2009, but for being there since 1976 on the front line. So. And I also wanted to just say that I think looking back on July 29th, 2022, that was the day we won.
Yeah.
Because everything that happened that day was a foreshadowing of this day. And everything that's happened from then to now was foreshadowed on that day. Because, like the chairman said, they wanted the Uhuru movement to run, to hide. Instead, within an hour or so of the last SWAT, I'm trying to think of a different word than.
This might be on public radio.
Okay. Officer, quote unquote, packed up their assault rifles and their flashbang grenades and left Redbud in North St. Louis. The chairman was on the steps of his house talking to millions of people, launching the fight back, the counteroffensive that brought us to this day. With many friends, with Rudy standing there, with Jesse Todd standing there, with the members of the Dream Party standing there, with so many people, and also standing there was Deputy Chair Ona Zane Yeshitela. Big old gold. And that doula program. 20 African women to be trained as doulas to address the genocidal infant and maternal mortality rates imposed on African people is still happened that day on July 29th. That everything that happened that day was a foreshadowing, because in the 2.5 years, what happened in St. Louis? The African Independence Workforce Program had its grand opening for its fourplex housing. The basketball court had its grand opening. The bakery cafe process was launched, and now that's a battle we have to win to get the Uhuru Bakery and Cafe open against the attacks by the same state, the same government, and so much else. I'm not even saying everything. As Chairwoman Penny said, the work didn't just continue, it intensified under the leadership of Deputy Chair. So that was it. That day was the bad omen for the U.S. government in terms of what was ahead of them in this case. And also, I was also reflecting on that morning First of all, I just want to express solidarity with the family of Ronald Green.
Yeah.
And appreciate the statement that was made about Fred Hampton Jr. and Fred Hampton, who famously said, "You can kill a revolutionary, but you can't kill a revolution." On the morning of July 29th, Comrade Amanda and I were sitting, well, first of all, I wanted to mention, you know in that video, you hear, "This is the FBI, come out with your hands up." You can hear that actual recording because Amanda, with that phone, right, called Chairwoman Penny Hess. It went straight to voicemail because the phones were jammed. They weren't allowing communications between the phones, but it left a 3-minute voicemail, which Amanda then ingeniously was able to get access to through the service provider or whatever it was. But that morning, we were sitting in the main room of the Uhuru Solidarity Center, and they had us sit behind this table. They said, "We just want to sit down and have a conversation about Alexander Ionov." It was Kelly Bowen, by the way. Now you all know. And we said, "We're not going to do that." And she went, "Okay," and walked away really fast. So we were sitting there for hours, and there was another FBI agent with a gun standing there. So Amanda and I were sitting silently next to each other, staring up at a poster on the wall in the Uhuru Solidarity Center. And I knew we were both just locked on this poster the whole time. It's a picture of Dedan Kimathi, the leader of the Kenya Land and Freedom Army, the Mau Mau. And it has a quote that said, "It is better to die on your feet than live on your knees." That's the spirit of African people, African resistance. People have asked us, what's kept you going? And it's being under the leadership of the African working class, who have never, ever, ever stopped fighting, never stopped resisting, because the future of humanity depends upon their victory, upon their success. So again, it's just an incredible honor. I am deeply humbled to have been a part of this process, and humbled by just the brilliant leadership and strategy of Chairman Amalia Shatella and the Uhuru movement. And I just want to say, I love the Uhuru movement. Put into words the love that I have for the movement, for African internationalism, for you, Chairman, for Deputy Chair, for Chairwoman Penny, for all of the comrades and leaders and members of the Uhuru movement, and the whole fight back, the whole anti-colonial free speech coalition. And I guess the last thing I'll say is the chairman mentioned earlier at the press conference that I will be pursuing a law degree, and I just wanted to mention that because that is true. And also, I have been in the anti-colonial People's Law School for 15 years under the leadership of the great anti-colonial revolutionary law professor, Chairman. Lesson 1. Law is the opinion of the ruling class. Lesson 2. The colonizer creates the law, but colonialism itself is illegitimate. And lesson 3. When you are fighting an enemy that appears invincible, you make the enemy fight itself. Revolution. Instead of going to prison, I will be going to law school. And that law degree will not belong to me, it will belong to the movement. That's right. So on that note, I just want to say that the other inspiration for that is our incredible lawyers. Yeah. We have Angela Rainey right here because they turned their law degrees over to the movement. Yeah. So we are winning, we have won.
time I talk that I'm absolutely honored to work on this case, it's because it's so true. It's so true. I'm absolutely honored to work on this case. Mutaki always says, this is why I went to law school. Absolutely, this is why I went to law school.
Yes.
And I'm glad I got to use my degree like this. But I want to make sure that it's clear, we're not done with this case yet. To make a huge impact, bigger than we could have if we would have wanted to trial.
Yes.
I would have loved that.
Yes.
And honestly, when we are able to make this appeal, we can make our First Amendment arguments, and if we went on that, we have a huge impact. So I just want to make it clear that we still have to keep going, fighting, and don't let the momentum down.
Not yet, Uhuru.
So now we want to open it up for public discussion, questions that you all might have. Yes, you coming up and ask your questions. Just come line up over here or whatever and ask your questions.
Is there a place?
Masambella, am I pulling that over a little bit more to the table?
Got a QA mic right here. Where's the mic? You want people to come to the QA mic?
Yeah, that's over here. Yes.
He would have to.
So Lisa, come on. We'll use this for now so we get that one set up. First of all,
Two quick points I will make, I promise. First of all, I just want to call people's attention in case they might not be quite aware of that. But in the Black is Back Coalition, one of the things they came up to the chairman about was interfering with elections. And we have just begun this electoral campaign school, teaching Black people that we don't have to kiss the Democratic butt or the Republican, and we can do it ourselves. We don't need them, and we're going to make them answer to us. And we talked about how to put radical issues on the ballot. And we said, you just run people on the ballot. And the African People's Socialist Party that year ran 2 people on the ballot in this town, St. Petersburg, on the platform of reparations for the Black community. That was Jesse Neville for mayor and Achille Anayi, I think, for city council. And I think it's very important to link this, that they charged, actually they came after Achille too, but they charged Jesse Neville with working for the Russians. The first white person that I know of to run on a platform of reparations for the Black community. So I just want to make that connection. And Petersburg, right here. So, and Achille Anayi also. In fact, they made Obama come from out of the poll and come to St. Petersburg and endorse the mayor, because they made it an international, they got international attention for that.
Sure did.
Right, and also I just want to ask you a little bit more about the appeal for the specific language of what the appeal will be about, because we know we didn't want you in prison, but they should have never gone through this period. You should have been on probation for anything. Right. So, Uhuru. Really?
Yeah.
So we raised a lot of objections at this trial.
Yes.
A lot. And we filed a lot of motions. So here, okay. I would say that we raised a lot of objections at this trial. If you were there, you heard them. We filed a lot of motions. So we have a lot of issues going on. We're going to be focusing on the First Amendment, which I think is the most important issue here. We need to get this established that the government can't use 951 to target political speech. That's the huge victory I want. There's other issues that we're going to raise, but we'll be filing the appeal. We have to file within 14 days, and then we'll be able to brief it. We hope to get a few organizations on to write amicus briefs. And that's going to be the process. It will probably take over a year before we get to argue before the 11th Circuit, but we'll get there.
Yes.
We have to go to the Supreme Court. We'll go to the Supreme Court.
Hi, I'm Gil Obler with the Free Mumia Move Your Mom Coalition in New York City.
All right.
So I have a question for the three lawyers on the panel. So one of the things with working on Mumia for the last 2 decades is people come up to us and they're like, well, you know, he's still in prison? And we're like, well, he was on death row. He was in isolation. We got him heart surgery, eye surgery, and a cure for hepatitis C. So we're winning. And the second thing is, when Lynn Stewart was in prison, I was talking to Noelle Hammerhead, who does prison radio. And I was like, you know, when she comes out, maybe you should interview her and get her knowledge while we still have her. And so she did. She interviewed her and became friends with her family and became inspired to go to law school when Lynn passed. So I just wanted you to comment on those things in terms of what was said prior, especially about the prison.
I hate for us to be in a situation of having to say free Mumia because he's innocent. I know he's innocent, but we're talking about the Philadelphia Police Department. We're talking about police departments drop bombs on our communities, and that's regularly killing black people. It was a pastime. That we're talking about the Philadelphia Police Department, which in 1972 dragged members of the Black Panther Party in December out of their homes and had photographers there to take pictures of them in their underclothes so that it could demoralize the African community. So it's, you know, when somebody says that Che Guevara, you know, killed somebody, or that people who are fighting for self-determination in other places around the world kill somebody, you don't say they didn't do it. In fact, if you came out and said Che didn't do it, people would cuss you out. You understand? So that's one aspect of the response, in the sense that Mumia is a heroic figure. Yeah. There's no way you can get around that. From a child, Mumia was trying to represent African people. And you know, so here he is, you know, during this time in prison. He should have been freed a long time ago. He should have never gone to prison. Yes. I really believe that we're in the process of building the kind of movement that would make it impossible for them to lock Mumia up anymore. And we have to fight like hell. One of the reasons they attacked us is to be able to stop criticism, exposure of the United States government to the world. And we have a responsibility to deepen that, to expose that, and come from different iterations of how we make that happen. You know, what's happening to Mumia, and what happened to his wife, and what happened, you know, like to other people in the communities and stuff, and tied to Mumia, and tied the conditions of black people. The same thing true with Leonard Peltier. Yes, you know, Leonard Peltier, who's been in prison for almost 50 years. Yes, sir. And they would treat the case of Leonard Peltier like it's just about him, like it's not associated with, connected to the struggle of the indigenous people to be free. They would attack, they would create an Uhuru 3 to try to liquidate the fact that this is the struggle against African people that they are making, and we can't allow them to do that. So I have a tremendous amount of appreciation for Comrade Mumia. I have appreciation for the kind of work that I've seen Comrade Pam do. I've been in Paris and got off trains in Paris and seeing people there passing out free Mumia literature in French, you know, so it's really powerful. And this is the kind of movement that has reverberated throughout the planet. And I'm hoping that part of what happens with this too is that we destroy this kind of sectarianism, and it is sectarianism. I know you're a revolutionary, bent on revolutionary principles, etc. So seriously that it keeps us from talking to people. You understand? So we just have this cocoon that we exist in that doesn't allow us to connect with the people. I really would like to see this movement destroying that and opening up, building a movement so that our movement itself can function as the alternative that people are looking for. One of the reasons that the people turn to the Democratic Party is because they don't see an alternative. It's not easy to see an alternative, but this stuff is fracturing everywhere. That's the basis for Donald Trump. That's the basis for people cheering this man on who killed, who they say killed the insurance guy. You know, people are absolutely fed up with the system. We just have to be there and offer them an alternative and help the people to become that alternative. So I know I overtalked it in terms of the response around Mumia, but we have to do everything to free Mumia. Yeah. And I was just looking at a picture the other day of Jamil, Al-Amin, you know, and Rap Brown was my chair at one time in SNCC, you understand? And I can tell you stories about Rap, you know, coming to Florida when I was locked up, you know. So anyway, say it again.
Free Rap Brown.
Free Rap Brown.
Free man Jamil.
Free them all.
Free them all.
Yeah.
Brother Zaid Muhammad Malcolm X Commemoration Committee. Uhuru. All power to the people. Free land. I want to make a connection. I want to make a Mumia connection as we get ready for the appeal. That was important. One of the things that we did with Mumia family, you remember this, right? When we went into court for Mumia the last time, even though we did not win, we got an amicus brief from the working group of experts and people of African descent of the United Nations, and it had the state peeing in their goddamn pants. I know y'all taping this, right? But I think that's a move that should happen here. There's the whole thing coming up with the case around Malcolm's case in New York. You know, if that voice is ready to be asserted into the international arena, because they try and tell us also to dismiss the UN. And we know the UN is not what we would like it to be, but it is still the international arena to raise international human solidarity. And that solidarity embarrasses the empire. And we need to take off their clothes every chance we get.
I appreciate that. And of course, we got a Sister Afia Mungaza who has brought our representation for the last 2 years to the working, to the last 3 permanent forums for the people of African descent at the United Nations. So I think it's very important I was able to attend one of them in 2023. So I unite with Comrade Zaid and continue to take this struggle to the world stage. Of course, when we talked, the central to this campaign here was the African Charged Genocide petition. We're talking about upwards of 130,000 petitions. We know what they did to William Patterson and them, and they had a few scores of and this is not minimizing it, right? But they had a few hundred signatures that 1951 petition. We charged genocide, but we're talking about under the leadership of Chairman Omar telling the African People's Socialist Party, this struggle as an extension of the 1982 tribunal to charge the United States with genocide against African people, to demand reparations, to place it in action was placed into the hands of African people. And that's what the attack was about. That's when we talk about sort of saying it's not us, it's not all y'all in this room of the what they call the multiple colors of Benetton or something like that. What was that, the Benetton, what was the thing? remember the United Colors? So when we talk about all the people in this room, right? No, it's not that. It's Russia. It's some spooky outside. You know, it's not. No. My slaves is happy. My slaves, it's them agitating Quakers. It's them Northern Yankees putting their heads of my happy slaves. No. Right. So we unite with that. I mean, so Chairman, we brought this to the people. Over 130,000 people from all around the world uniting with this question. So yes. And so once again, today is not the end. Today is the beginning as we push forward. We want to thank the U.S. State's Attorney for exposing a movement that had 130,000 to hundreds of millions of people, right? They lost, we won. We got to understand that. They lost, we won. Right, but we also know sort of claim no easy victories, tell no lies. Right, so once again, January 18th, we are inviting y'all to the Hands Off Uhuru conference. We could continue to build organization through this. So I want to bring up a Redbeard. We got Comrade John. We got Comrade MQ that have some more questions.
And that's your last.
Yeah.
Redbeard.
Chairman. Can you explain two things? Can you explain what 951 is? And also, could you opine on why a not guilty verdict on the main charge didn't just make the second charge moot?
Good question.
Attorney. Well, we got two attorneys down here.
So 951 is the federal statute. 951 is a federal statute that Uhuru was charged under. That's the statute said that it's illegal to work at the direction or control of a foreign government without registering with the Attorney General. So you heard us arguing today, and the judge commenting that everything they did was legal, except they didn't register. But also, there's no evidence they knew they had to. So that was, one of our arguments that we were making. So that is, certainly one of our appeal issues. What was the second?
Doesn't the fact that we were acquitted on
Okay.
one makes it a conspiracy?
So it's interesting in this case, normally you can be convicted of a conspiracy and a substantive offense for just a conspiracy. When you commit a conspiracy, you don't have to commit what we call a substantive crime. So here, they were acquitted of what the substantive crime was, of working at the direction or control of a foreign government without registering. They were convicted of conspiracy. Normally it makes sense because to conspire, you just have to enter into an agreement with someone to commit a criminal act. Our argument here was the conspiracy doesn't make sense because how can you agree with someone to commit a criminal act if you don't even know it's criminal? So those are the arguments that we were making. Normally you can be acquitted if the jury though finds that you just agreed with someone to commit a crime. Normally it's not an issue. It's a little different in this case, and it's one of our appeal issues.
Yes.
I think a thing that might be significant about that, in addition to, I think the judge handed us an appeal issue. It seems to me that the judge's ruling handed us an appeal issue. I think, I don't guess it matters because there was no prison time associated with it. So I was going to talk about the basis for an appeal bond, but that's not an issue, so it doesn't matter.
Hi, I'm John with the Partisan Defense Committee, which is a class struggle defense organization associated with the Spartacus League. I'd like to salute the Uhuru Three and their lawyers for the tenacious fight against this racist witch hunt. It's a relief that no one is going to prison, but this never should have made it out of the starting gate.
That's right.
But I'd like to second Chairman Yeshitela's polemic against sectarianism, which is rampant on the left. everybody's in their own little bubble or whatever and wants to defend themselves and not build a movement. It's very important, this united front defense work. We have many differences, different political perspectives in this room, but we can all agree that this racist witch hunt had to be spiked and is a threat to all of us.
Yes, sir.
And I will tell you, since just from being here in September, we've been working with Uhuru on a number of important cases. I'll add to ones that have been mentioned, the repression of socialists in Nigeria that began in August. We worked together on a united fronts in London and New York City, where we met LACO, and we've been working against some of the police brutality cases in New York, like the Eric Dupre case. So I do think we are battering away at that sectarian and building broader defense work. On the Nigeria, we've gotten, these are socialists facing the death penalty for fighting against the austerity conditions in Nigeria. And we've gotten the Chicago Teachers Union, the Longshore Union, the UAW Democracy Caucus, healthcare and transit workers in New York have all come out in defense of these Nigerian comrades. There's Chalani Kosa in South Africa, who's facing a social media ban for criticizing the national unity so-called government. And I hope we will be working together with all our forces on the Ronald Green case upcoming in Louisiana in February. And lastly, we're embarking on our holiday appeal. We've had a stipend program since the 80s to send $100 a month as a sign of solidarity to class 4 prisoners like Mumia, like Leonard Peltier, Shanashli in Texas, George Abdullah in France. We've added the Merrimack 4, the Palestine Action activists in jail in New Hampshire. And I am very happy not to be adding 3 more class 4 prisoners, but being able to work with you. Hands off Africa.
Oh, right on. So we have MQ, there's Doc Clements and Pam Africa. So
MQ.
So
I wanted to say that MQ is a special person that in some ways embodies Hands Off Uhuru, that we got to know through Hands Off Uhuru, and everybody knows you and loves you. And I just want to say that you have been such an important comrade in Hands Off Uhuru. We appreciate you so much.
I just wanted to say about the earlier speaker about bringing the issue of for political prisoners such as Mumia to the forums such as the UN. It's like it's the 2 sides of the UN, right? The General Assembly and then the Security Council and then the General Assembly, and then it's like each vote, like I've been like following the votes by the UN General Assembly. It's like on to stop the genocide in Palestine, and then each time the ones who like there's several Pacific islands that have been voting against the resolution, but then the most recent vote they abstained. So it's like there's progress being made, and then it's like it seems like the General Assembly can be reached. It's like, and then if these issues are brought to them, so
Doc Clements, you had your question? Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I read a blog called EuroDefenseNorms.com. A lot of this issue here that we're talking about deals with healthcare. A lot of people don't understand. There's almost 4,500 physicians are best and brightest sitting in prison, federal prison today, being called drug dealers and those sort of things. And 2,800 of them are black. And our best and brightest, we're talking surgeons, psychiatrists, and physicians. I'm a pharmacist and a dentist. I have a pharmacy, and they targeted my pharmacy and tried to call me a drug dealer in a white coat. And I take notice of the doctor here saying that, you know, about standing up and fighting back. And the only reason why I'm not in prison is because of that blog, youarewithinthenorms.com. Youarewithinthenorms.com. Hundreds of, so we learned, I wish that we had the lawyers that we had in our group. And we're talking about black, they're targeting our success and our abilities. And here's something that's strange, with the elderly white doctors, what they're doing is they target their assets. So this war on drugs is extended to the fact that if a doctor, for example, is very successful, we can then use what we're going to do here with civil asset forfeiture to seize their property. So if they would have got a conviction, I want you to know, if they would have got a conviction here, this house would have been gone. That's right. And been seized, understand? And with civil asset forfeiture property with doctors, all they gotta do is call you a drug dealer one day, not take anything to trial, and say, and then come in and seize your entire assets, wipe you out clean. And read Dr. Brown, or Linda Parker Brown, but you are within the norms.com, YOUARE, within the norms.com. And I should tell you this, a little history. The chairman and I, when I was this teeny-weeny, go way back to Florida University. You know, when I was at Florida, I met the chairman here. His name was Joe Waller, running Jomo, and fought against the Vietnam War. 1970 is to say, he's the same person ever since. This guy's been a fighter and stuff. And the old saying, when you fight together, you win. That's our saying, I think. And when you were just saying, you said not one day, not one dime, our saying was, we're not gonna pay these folks not one dime, not one nickel, not one penny. So it's very interesting how these two movements of what we've been doing as doctors and stuff has been working together. So I want to thank you very much for allowing me to speak today. Read the blog, you are within the norms.com, because all of your medical care here, especially obstetrics, is being threatened. Your doctors are facing prison time and those sorts of things. So just take a look at it.
Hello, I'm from the Tampa Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression. I want to salute a great victory today. The chairman and the Uhuru movement, the African Nationalist Party, and Socialist Party. I just had a quick question. We are appealing. It's been a great victory, and I know that it's unfair to have the result, even though it is no money, no time. What are the dangers involved I believe in fighting back, but I also worry about I'm concerned about the possible repercussions.
For appealing, you mean?
Yes.
Legal dangers for appealing?
Yes.
Answer that.
Yeah. Go pass it down. Yeah.
So in our case, I don't think there are real dangers in sentencing. Technically, the government could appeal the sentence. The judge has a lot of discretion, especially in this case, where there's guidelines that constrain the judge to an extent, but we didn't have that in this case. So they can do that. They can cross appeal. On our side, otherwise, I don't see the danger in it other than keeping yourself in the government's crosshairs. So,
yeah. Yeah, we're in the government's crosshairs, make no mistake about that. Because it was not something that was limited to some kind of legal thing.
Right.
They burned the church down across the street from my house that we had under contract to put community programs in. As I mentioned, they burned the flag here. The banks actually sanctioned us. The banks, like we a foreign government or something like that, the banks forced us they shut down our accounts. They forced us to pay off a mortgage in 2 weeks of about $80,000. And it's not like we ever missed a payment. In fact, we paid most of our stuff not only on time, but before time. We had, and of course they attacked our bakery cafe in St. Louis. They attacked our radio station right here, in terms of we had got $90,000, almost $100,000 grant that from this COVID thing. They used the Russia issue as the basis of attacking that and taking that grant from us. So we're involved in the struggle. It's not over right now. And the question of Comrade Penny Hess even forced her to close her personal account at one of the banks, Regions Bank. So it's an ongoing struggle. You're absolutely correct. It's an ongoing struggle. It's not over. But neither are we. And I wanted to say that because I really feel good, because we're going to see an even greater leap in the solidarity, and practical solidarity that we're going to be able to get from people. So I feel good. People will also be able to experience this victory, and it will be their victories, and they will recognize that, and they will step forward. And some people who we know in some places have been actually cowards and afraid to step forward, and now we've thrown our bodies on the grenade, that they will, many of them will have the gumption to come and take a stance. So I feel like we're really on the cusp of developing a new movement. I mean, a real new anti-imperialist movement. Yes. And that's what we are. That's what we want to build. And I feel very good about that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know where they found is messed up in my third years too. And I think the problem came from the fact that I couldn't express myself the way I wanted. So some of these MFers is caught up in here.
You're my wife's hero. She goads you on from the side.
But I want to talk about observance. I mean, I'm thinking about, I used to visit the Death Row 10 in Chicago.
Yes, sir.
And their case is one where Officer Burge would make them confess to crimes they didn't commit by sticking electrical prongs on their nipples and on their testicles. And that came out, I'm shortening this story up. And so they were able to, through the support of the people, all power to the people, and was able to get it in court, and they came upon a judge who heard everything that they were saying and witnessing. So he released the Death Row 10. Each and every last one of those brothers who were innocent, number one. Right after that, I was up there for a trial. No, we was doing some big demonstration with Chairman Fred Hampton. And I saw all this media going one way, and we were going another way, and they was running down the steps, and I saw this tall white man. I'm like, damn, I'm losing. So I want to know what's going on, so I go following him, and his name, the judge escapes me. If anybody can help me. If not, it's the judge that let the Death Row 10 loose. He was on trial. And you know, and he was on trial, I can't remember exactly what it was, but some little menial stuff that judges do, that politicians do, that they usually pass by. This judge today, and I watched him, you know, through the hearings and stuff, he's in some trouble. Because when you stand up for the truth, and I'm saying, you know what, part of our job is not only bringing our people home and justice for them, but to ensure justice for other people. Because when they got rid of this judge and people didn't stand up, and because I mean, I went around to the boardroom, and you know, and I'm looking for people to follow me and all. That's no shit. You know, they were saying, NPR, you know, lay for that judge, and you know, we can't do that.
That's right.
When people stand up and stand with us, we have got to be principled to be able to stand up for them and point out why they was prosecuting this judge on BS. That was my observance. And here's another thing I'm going to say. I turned 78 this year.
Well.
I'm not celebrating a 78th day, a 78th month, a 78th anything except the 78th year, and then I'm going into the 79th. But it has been my pleasure that on my 78th birthday, to be here, you know what I'm saying birthday, I'm talking about the year. And to be here with each and every last one of you, this is something that memories are made of. I am so thankful, so proud, so, you know, I don't even know the words. So I can release these things. But Uhuru, and I will be in St. Louis.
Right on.
And Ronald Green, we gonna work. We gonna work. And please, Brother Jamil Alameen, I see you broke my heart. And you know, we got to, Leonard, come out. Free them all. You know, we gotta free them all. But don't forget about this judge. Keep your eye on who gave us the three. Without him, we couldn't have had it.
All right.
People's analysis.
All right.
Thank you.
People's legal analysis.
The Thea wants to end it, so.
So, Mama Thea. So we bringing up Thea on Gaza. So we talking. You want to say anything about this? You're going to end with a song.
She got it. This is a fear among guys.
Chairman.
You bouncing? Cam. All right, Cam.
Reparations now.
Reparations now. We're gonna do some more stuff, Cam. You cannot escape now. There you
are. Everybody, take some food to go, please. Before, after we're down to the airport.
Yeah, take to the airport.
Confuse the TSA with the sweet potato pie. Yesterday, I did an adaptation of one of my mother's fight songs. Victory, victory, victory is ours.
Yes.
Today, in the tradition of recognizing those who went before us and the path that they laid, making that connection, I'm going to ask you to join me in a song that is the chairman's favorite. I only know just the chorus.
Okay.
But I think that it's perhaps a good closing that we can all join in.
Right on.
Move on over, or we'll move on over you.
Move on over, or we'll move on over you. Move on over, or we'll move on over you. 'Cause the people's moving on. Move on over, or we'll move on over you. Move on over, or we'll move on over you. Move on over, or we'll move on over you. 'Cause the people's moving on. One more time. Move on over, or we'll move on over you. Move on over, or we'll move on over you. Move on over, or we'll move on over you. 'Cause the people's moving on. And you did not die in vain. Oh, Malcolm X, man, you did not die in vain. Oh, Malcolm X, man, you did not die in vain. 'Cause the people's moving on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, Ralph Pointer, man, you did not die in vain. Oh, Ralph Pointer, man, you did not die in vain. Oh, Ralph Pointer, man, you did not die in vain. 'Cause the people's moving on. Right on. Uhuru.
Well, you know, there's one organization that has been stalwart supporters and, you know, fraternal organization for the world movement for over 40 years, and I left them off. The General Secretary, Adriana Hasso Simon of the Union de Barrio was here, was present today. Just want to salute Union and all the work. Just want to Chair Mwezi, the Secretary General of the African People's Socialist Party of the United States. Let's get some more shout outs.
Come at Akile tonight.
Come at Akile. And baby Comrade Couture Zane. Where you at, Couture Zane? All right. Uhuru. Uhuru.
Aisha, Dr.
Agitation and propaganda, but also Comrade Yejide Owemila. Piece that is done. Sandra. We were talking about this remarkable assortment of people. It's worth mentioning that we've seen a photo of Comrade Lisa Davis. Not Lisa Davis, but Lisa Watson.
Yeah.
Where is she? Right here. Yeah. When she was 12 years old, standing in, I guess, a dining room or something, where at her home in Minneapolis, and seated at the head of the table was the wife of Prime Minister of the Soviet Union, of Gorbachev. Gorbachev's wife was there, and I just think it says so much about, you know, and there's one comrade here, Comrade Ruby, Comrade Janice, whose grandfather was a Bolshevik, who was actually a Bolshevik in Russia.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a magnet that's pulling all of these incredible forces together, what have you. And this, she got out beautiful baby.
The
people, I know Lisa Watson did a lot with the website, but everybody said that website has been dynamic. So thanks to all the tech people.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. But I just want to unite, first of all, salute Chairman Mali Shatella, the Uhuru 3, the incredible fight back, the attorneys, and just, appreciate being one of the OG Uhuru 4. And, that was one of the points where their case was unraveling from the beginning. So just really want to salute this profound victory, which would not have been possible without, the leadership of the African Revolution and the people, all of you in this room and the people around the world. And just want to acknowledge my department, Department of Agitation and Propaganda. And, that the way we came out of this.
Tell us about it.
Oh my gosh. Because when we say that they not only didn't stop anything, but we surpassed where they could have even fathomed we could go, even with all the attacks they put against us. And Agitprop, for years has been, struggling to do the things that we managed to do for this trial, because we knew that everything was on the line, everything mattered, and we had to solve the problem. And that's what a revolutionary does. We look the problem in the face and we don't let it, baffle us and put us underground, but we say, how do we solve this? And, this department pulled together. We had the media army, and I have to acknowledge this comrade Indigo and Dylan, who are here. Sheila Hamanaka, the comrades of the Pacifica affiliates, and the way in which this department built relationships with different progressive supportive media entities, in this country, WBAI, sister comrade Marsha, and I just have to acknowledge the comrades, Comrade Sandy, Comrade Lisa, President Yejide Odumila, Comrade Soliana, Comrade Logan, and Comrade Becky. This is why you can't name names. Because you get, and there was the whole media army, that was there that made this possible. And, it was possible for me to step away to handle this situation because these comrades were there and everything went seamlessly. It was absolutely beautiful. The reenactments, I want to say all the Superstar Mariah, and Black 96 Radio, comrade station manager Eddie Malsby, and everyone at the station. You guys made this possible, comrades. So just really want to salute you, Comrade Lisa. I think I said Lisa, Comrade Sandy, the whole Agitprop department. Just incredible.
The pictures.
Oh, the sketch artist. Your work is in history. Your work is a part of history. Comrades Ruby, Comrade Allie. Yes. Social media, the social media, Comrade Lisa Davis, here with the social media team. Comrade Cesar, Paolo, oh my God. Oh, how many, who? Comrade Wendy, Leah, who else am I missing? Media army was so massive, guys, that's fine. Comrade Diane, Comrade Cesar, Comrade Yabinga, all right. Throw names, because, I'm sorry? Comrade Ann Hurd, or Ann Leslie. Comrade Jamie, yes, brilliant. Oh, I can't name all the actors, but also Comrade Brendan, wow, amazing. I mentioned Comrade Soliana.
Redbeard playing the judge.
Redbeard, Comrade Redbeard. We're going to continue this. That has to be an institution. That's an institution. I'm looking at the Reparations Tribunal as our next reenactment. I put it out there, so now we got to do it. Did you already say Mariah? I said Comrade Mariah. That's our superstar right there.
Where's Mariah?
She is based out in in
Mississippi.
Mississippi,
Okay.
yes. And she was the remote MC for today's press conference.
Oh, okay. Right on. Yeah.
So, Talmadge, Comrade Talmadge. Yeah, so many. Comrade Maya.
The MC for the theater. What was her name?
Mariah. That's Comrade Mariah, yeah. And that's the Black 96 volunteers right there. So, anyway, I'm gonna be in deep doo-doo because I probably missed somebody, but I really appreciate
You'll be in deep doo-doo because of what you got in your arm.
Right. I'm sorry. Oh, her name is Keturah Zane. Keturah. Yeah. I shouldn't have to say the whole thing. But Keturah is the name of the founding, one of the founding members of the African People's Socialist Party. So as Chairman says, Keturah lives.
Yeah.
And Comrade, the middle name Zane, of course, after our very own Zane. And, because we believe that names mean something in the African community, and that, we want to make sure that she lives up to these incredible, freedom fighters.
All right, Uhuru. So we want to thank everybody. Continue, go to, if you're following us, handsoffuhuru.org on social media, at handsoffuhuru, at Burning Spear, Burning Spear TV on YouTube, at IMPDUM on Facebook. So yes, we want to thank everybody for the continued support, especially coming out here, all the people that came out here twice, and just.
So the sheriff said, when we coming back?
So once again,
we come to
make
St.
sure you
Louis.
follow us at handsoffuhuru.org for the updates on the upcoming Hands Off Uhuru conference. Uhuru. Yeah.